U.S. deploys warships and B-1B bombers in the South China Sea as China nationals call for Taiwan invasion. Despite the fact that everyone is staying at home, the U.S. military is not asleep like everyone else. This is one of the busiest times in the U.S. military as they continue to prepare for any military confrontation that might arise, especially in the South China Sea. According to a recent post by the Pacific Air Force website, the deployment of the B-1B Lancer strategic bomber is a part of the 9th Expeditionary Bomber Squadron that has been training in the South China Sea. The U.S. has ramped up its military activities in the Indo-Pacific region, and these military maneuvers are expected to improve the U.S. agility and efficiency if a conflict breaks out in the heated South China Sea. This is coming at a time when relationships between the United States and China are at their worst point in many years. Increased military presence of the United States is expected to act as a strategic deterrence in case China's military becomes too aggressive in the region. At the same time, this is showing the commitment by the United States when it comes to reinforcing international rules and order in the Pacific region. These training missions are a big show of force by the U.S. military in the South China Sea. The B-1B Lancer bombers involved in this mission are a part of the 28th Bomb Wing that's based at Ellsworth Air Force Base. In this mission, the bombers flew from the United States to the Indo-Pacific region in a 32 hours round trip over the sea. In a news release, the U.S. Air Force said that this operation was a part of a joint bomber task force by the U.S. Military Strategic Command and the Indo-Pacific Command. This mission was also meant to demonstrate the new dynamic method of force employment, which is aimed at making the U.S. global bombers less predictable, thus creating a sense of surprise attacks to key targets in case a military confrontation breaks out between China and the United States. While the bombers have been practicing to carry out long-range strike missions, a recent report has said that the Navy, too, has increased its operations in the South China Sea. The littoral combat ship USS Montgomery, LCS-8, and replenishment ship USS Cesar Chavez, TAKE-14, both conducted operations in the South China Sea. These drills are meant to be a show of force and deterrence. The drill ship is currently operating in the region under a contract to survey the Malaysia's exclusive economic zone, where the Malaysian State Oil Company has been conducting some activities. According to USNI, the Chinese People's Liberation Army has also recently conducted drills near the Malaysian contracted oil drilling ship. The USS Bunker, CG-52, also separately sailed in the region alongside a Royal Australian frigate, HMAS Parramatta, FFG-154, before they later joined the United States amphibious assault ship, USS America, LHA-6, and a guided missile destroyer, USS Barry, DDG-52. All the four vessels have been conducting massive joint drills in the same region where a Chinese survey ship, Haliangdid C-8, was reportedly operating with the escort of some Chinese Coast Guard ships. The United States is making it very clear that the Chinese Communist Party must stop the bullying in the South China Sea. The Indo-Pacific regions should remain open and free for navigation, fishing, and out-of-shore oil production for all the Asian nations. Amid the ever-rising tensions between the two nations, a U.S. Navy vessel, Bunker Hill, has also conducted massive freedom of navigation exercises all over the Spratly Island chain near the Gavin Reef in the South China Sea. China has been bullying its Asian neighbors like Vietnam and the Philippines by sinking their fishing vessels in international waters. The Communist Party of China has been unlawfully making big maritime claims in the region. This is becoming a big threat to the freedom of navigation, overflight, and the freedom of free passage by all ships in the South China Sea. This disrespect of international laws and aggressiveness by China is what has prompted the United States military to increase a show of force in the Indo-Pacific region, especially in the disputed waters of the South China Sea. The SCMP has also reported that the Chinese Communist Party is trying to calm rising nationalistic sentiments after growing demands by the Chinese citizens for China to take advantage of this crisis to take Taiwan by force. A number of commentators in China's social media platforms are calling for the island to be taken by force, and this is an option that Beijing has on the table in case some economic and diplomatic methods fail. On top of getting a lot of pressure from the Chinese nationals, the Chinese Communist Party is also being urged by the Chinese PLA, the People's Liberation Army, to take Taiwan by force at this moment. They're arguing that even if the United States is obliged to protect Taiwan, the U.S. is unable to do so now because all the 4 U.S. aircraft carriers that have been commissioned in the Pacific have been affected by the outbreak. At the same time, the U.S. homeland is struggling to fight the outbreak, and on top of this, we have an election year in the United States. With so much going on in the United States, the Chinese Army assessment says that President Trump will be reluctant in helping Taiwan in case China invades them. Many Chinese experts have repeatedly argued that based on the social and political developments in Taiwan, it will be impossible for China to take Taiwan in diplomatic ways. Force might be the last solution. The social political changes, experts have warned China that the one country, two systems will not work with Taiwan. The anti-government protests in Hong Kong have proven that this method does not work, and this cannot be used as the basis for reuniting with Taiwan. A complete takeover by the Chinese military might be the only solution for China. A retired Chinese Air Force general has warned that it's too risky and costly for China to take Taiwan by force at the moment, but instead they should wait until China has the economic and military capability to challenge the United States. It is clear that China is becoming excessively aggressive in the region, and this might be one of the factors that they're fueling the increased military presence by the United States in the South China Sea. The diplomatic and military tensions between the two nations have been rising every day, and it's unclear what the future holds. By sending more naval vessels into the region and integrating the naval exercises with heavy B-1Bs and other heavy bombers from the U.S. mainland, Washington is sending a very clear message to Communist China that the United States will continue upholding international laws in the region. Many analysts are warning that the U.S. is ready for any major confrontation with China, and any miscalculation by the Chinese Communist Party can trigger a war in the region.